Hey everyone, I am your astrologer Wonder Girl, taking you to new heights. This is your forecast for the full moon in Scorpio, which happens on Thursday, May 7th, 2020 at 6:45 a.m. Eastern Time or 3:45 a.m. Pacific Time. What I believe this full moon in Scorpio is really all about is, yes, my favorite word lately, more change that we are going to have to make in order for us to step into a life that we really actually want and desire, that makes us happy, and that's more stable and secure. As to where the changes that we were making in the past few months were to get us on some new journey to begin with, the changes that we're making at this full moon in Scorpio are to actually put us in a better, more solid place. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. A lot of conversations we may also have to have at this full moon as well in order for a lot of things to come together that I suppose could also be a bit frustrating. All right, if you want to learn more about that, please stay tuned. Before we get going though, I do just have a few more things to mention, this time different than what I normally mention. One of the first things I want to say is that I am doing a survey or a questionnaire on astrology and really all about you, about your interests, about what you like about astrology, about what you like about astrology stuff online and what you don't like, that I would really, really appreciate it if you could take. It will maybe take you about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes to complete, but would be super, super helpful for me. The link is going to be down below in the description to this video. The survey and your responses are going to help better inform my work that I do and some projects that I may do in the future, because I think there's a lot more that can be done with astrology other than these videos that I do, which are great. I like these videos that I do, but there are other things as well that I want to start doing too, that your responses are going to help guide me and direct me. So please check that out. I also thought that would be a very good activity to do during the North Node in Gemini, since the North Node just moved there. I thought it would be a good idea because the North Node in Gemini is all about gathering information, which is what this is for me, and also about talking about yourself and the things that interest you. So I thought it was just a perfect fit. So if you've got some time and if you would like to help or just talk about yourself, please, again, the survey and the description to this video, fill it out. Other things, I do more videos than these that you see on YouTube, than my new moon and my full moon videos. I do videos for every single day, every single week, and every single month about what's going on with the astrology. If you want to learn more about that and stay up to date, please check out my website, wondergirlastrology.com, to see some of these other things that I do. Also, I am accepting bookings if you want to book some time with me to read your astrological chart, which you can also do on my website. I do believe I'm perhaps a little bit full for hour readings in the near future, but if you want to get 30 minutes with me, I should have some slots still available. Now, the full moon, let's talk about that with what's going on there. In order for me to do that, I always like to place the full moon on the chart first. I like to place the full moon on the chart so that you can see how I come up with the things that I come up with, and so that you can follow along with me. So I'm going to do that. The full moon, well, the moon first is going to be right here in Scorpio. How do I know that this moon in Scorpio is a full moon? Because the moon in Scorpio is exactly opposite the sun here, which is at the same degree in Taurus. What are full moons all about? Full moons are all about ending things or completing things. What are we ending or completing? Well, because the moon is in Scorpio, Scorpio matters. What does Scorpio have to do with? Scorpio has to do with change, endings and beginnings, and deep transformations. If Scorpio doesn't have to do with change, it also has to do with the deep desires of our soul, things that we really, truly, deeply want and connect with. If not that, Scorpio also has to do with money, but typically losing money instead of gaining it. And Scorpio also does have to do with very intimate, deep relationships, but in my opinion, more so karmic relationships as a result. I should also say Scorpio too does have to do with very deep subconscious emotional stuff as well. So if I were to combine that together, what we know about full moons and what we know about the sign of Scorpio, what I would say is that this full moon in Scorpio is about us ending a time of change, ending a time of change, ending a time of karma, ending a time of karmic relationships, ending a time of losing money, ending a time of deep, uncomfortable, subconscious emotions, ending all of that so that we can transform and step into different situations that we truly want, that we truly desire, so that we can step into a life that we feel more connected to in general, or so that we can step into different relationships or relationships in different ways that we truly want. And so that we can step into different ways of making money where we're not losing it as much, that also resonate with us as well. I think that's what I can say about the full moon in Scorpio in the most broadest and in the most general sense, to cover the most amount of people who may be watching this, is that this full moon in Scorpio is about us ending a time of change, losing money, karmic relationships, and deep, uncomfortable subconscious stuff, so that we can step into other situations with money, relationships, and our own selves that we actually really, truly want and like. A few other things I should mention, however, that even though I do believe that is the goal of this full moon in Scorpio, that sometimes full moons expand the things that it's supposed to help us with before it brings them back into order in some way, shape, or form. So what that means to me is that in order for us to end this time of change and step into situations that we want and that we like better, we may have to what? Go further into the change, make more changes, go further into the losing money, lose even more money. We may have to go further into the deep, uncomfortable, subconscious emotions. We may also have to go further into the karmic relationship stuff and baggage that we don't like. We're going to have to go further and further into all these things so that we can come out on the other side feeling ideally much better with a life we truly want, resonates with us, more stable and secure all the way around. All right, that's what's happening here. Why is this happening and how did we get here? Now I like to back out and take a look at the larger picture of what's happening in the astrology to give you more of the context. In order to do that, I'm going to now talk about our good old friends, Pluto and Saturn, especially if you've been watching me for a while, and now Jupiter. What has this been about? Well, I'll start with Pluto and Saturn. Pluto and Saturn, which almost came conjunct last April of 2019, has been about us changing our lives, changing the big structure of our lives, or changing our lives in huge ways. I think for the past few years, but especially since April 2019 to now. Why have we been trying to change our life in big ways? Well, we've been trying to change our lives in big ways to overcome old chapters in life that I believe persisted for maybe about 35 years, since the last time Pluto and Saturn came conjunct, that either we did not like, were not good for us, or that we no longer want. So the past year and a half or so has been about us doing that. Really hardcore. Has been about us trying to overcome old chapters in our life so that we can step into new ones and making the changes in order for that to happen. Well, 2 or 3 months ago, Pluto, maybe in January, Pluto and Saturn came exact. And then a few months after that, Jupiter moved into the spot that Pluto and Saturn once was, around what, March or April? What that brought then, when Jupiter joined Pluto, was the different experiences that we had been trying to overcome. When Pluto conjoined Jupiter, or Jupiter conjoined Pluto since it moves faster, in April, or a few months ago, all of the changes that we'd been trying to make since April 2019 to become new and different, to enter a new and different chapter of our life, had worked, had paid off to get us to some new and different place. And now, with the South Node, which just moved into Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, now with the South Node, now in Sagittarius, we are in the new life that we have been changing everything to be for many months and years prior to this. And now that we are in the new life that I think is going to last us for the next 35 years, now that we are in the new life that we've been changing our life to be, to overcome all of this old stuff, now that we are in the new life, the full moon in Scorpio is, yes, still about us making changes, but is about us making changes so that we can find our bearings in this new life, so that we can be more stable and secure in this new life, so that we can make this new life more what we want it to be, and so that we can eventually, with the North Node in Gemini, relax into it, lighten up a bit, be more playful, more loose, more lighthearted with where we are, and stop having everything be so heavy. So that to me is the context about what is going on. Now, another thing that I want to mention before I go any further is about this full moon in Scorpio in relation to the last full moon that I did a video for, which was in Libra a month ago. I know in my last video for the full moon in Libra, I mentioned also change. The last full moon in Libra, that it was a similar message that I gave you. That last video, I said, in order for us to find a new normal, we may have to make even more changes in order for things to come back together. That is still true this full moon in Scorpio. Just because it was true last full moon doesn't mean it can't still be true this full moon. Both can be true. We can still need to make more changes. All right, but there is one significant difference between the last full moon in Libra and this full moon in Scorpio in the changes that we are making. The last full moon a month ago in Libra was about us making changes in life, or changes happening to us to get us on some new journey, to get us on the new chapter of our life that will be with us for the next 35 years. This full moon in Scorpio assumes that we are already on the new journey. This full moon in Scorpio says, I don't need to make any more changes to get on any new journey in life. I'm already on the new journey. South Node in Sagittarius, I'm already on it. It's a lot. The full moon in Scorpio says, I need to make changes now, not to get on a new journey because I'm already there. I need to make changes now to be more settled in this different space, to settle into it and to be more comfortable with it and with where I am at. And that's what's going on now. Similar, but different. Similar, but different, that I want to make clear. All right, and maybe that's what I'll say in terms of the context, before I go now into some of the specifics. Anything else? I think that's it. Maybe just to repeat one more time what's going on. At this full moon in Scorpio, we are trying to end a time of much change and much karma in our lives, trying to end a time of hard relationships, of losing money, and of lots of uncomfortable, deep subconscious emotions. We are trying to end all of that so that we can step into situations in life that we actually do like, and that we actually want, and that feel better for us, and that make us happy, and that are more stable and more secure. In order for us to step into this better time, however, we may have to expand the change, expand the karma, expand the uncomfortable emotions, expand the losing of money, before everything can finally start to come together, and before we can finally start to feel good in a very different space of our lives and feel more loose and free. Okay. Other things that are going on. Full moon. Here it is in Scorpio. Is Mercury. Oh, nope. No, I don't want to go there yet. What I want to talk about first is that this full moon in Scorpio is making a trine over here to Neptune and Pisces, which I think is a positive alignment, and a sextile over here to Pluto and Capricorn, even though it's kind of far, but I still count it because these planets are moving, and the moon is eventually going to move into the sextile with Pluto. But these to me are good alignments. I'll start with the good first before I talk about some of the challenges. This to me is a good thing. These alignments are saying, if we just do it, if we just finish making some more of the changes, or make more of the changes that we need, and go more into the karma and this uncomfortable stuff, if we just do it, then we're eventually going to feel much better, Neptune and Pisces. We're eventually going to be able to overcome the past and to create different situations that we feel more at ease about. We're also going to be able as well with the Pluto and Capricorn change our life, or to turn our life around to be something that we want it and need it to be at this time in order to feel more at ease. So it could be a little bit uncomfortable for us to still have to make changes in life and for us to still have to deal with all these hard things, but this stuff that we deal with is eventually going to help us move on in ways that it is that we need. All right, now back to Mercury. Mercury. My next thought is, okay, before I talk about Mercury in specific, my next thought is, okay, that's fine. If I have to make more changes in order to move forward into a different, better space in life, that's fine. But how do I do it? How do I do it? That's where Mercury comes in. Especially because Mercury is opposite the moon in Scorpio and conjunct the sun. Mercury has a lot to do with thinking to ourselves and communicating with other people. So what this indicates to me is that in order for us to figure out how to end the time of change, or figure out what changes we need to make so the time of change can be ended, we may have to have lots of thoughts and lots of conversations. We may have to have lots of thoughts to ourselves and conversations with other people about what needs to be changed, and about how it needs to be changed, and about where we want things to go. As a result of all of this, especially with Mercury coming into a square with Mars and Aquarius. We may have to have lots of conversations about our future. Mars and Aquarius, what we want things to look like when all this is said and done. What we want things to look like without all the karma and the hard stuff that is coming on. That I think will be very, very important. Not only will we have to have lots of thoughts and conversations as well, but with the Mercury influence, And now with the North Node in Gemini, we may also have to intellectualize a lot of the things that are going on so that they aren't so hard for us emotionally. Not only may we have to intellectualize them, but we may also have to, do you want to say, disassociate from a lot of this emotional baggage and karma. There's a part of us now with the North Node in Gemini and with this Mercury stuff that's saying, so much karmic stuff has been going on that's been hard for me. I need to not let this stuff bother me anymore, and I need to get the right intellectual perspective on it in order to handle this better. Okay, so those are 2 points in regards to Mercury I really want to point out. In order for us to overcome this time of change and karma and get on better footing, we may have to have lots of thoughts and conversations about what needs to change and how, and we also may need to adopt more of an intellectual instead of an emotional perspective about how exactly to proceed. As much as I want to say that these conversations are going to be good and are going to be helpful in the long run, I do want to mention that they can be hard in the short term. The reason why they can be hard during the short term is because of this Mercury square Mars. A square is a hard alignment, and Mars is what? The planet of war and aggression. So what we may find is that these conversations and these thoughts that we are having in order to end a time of change and bring things back together may actually anger us. They may anger and frustrate us, because we may be having lots of thoughts and lots of conversations and not know what to do and be upset. If they don't anger and frustrate us, then these thoughts and conversations could anger and frustrate other people. This can bring Mars fighting, words Mercury, with other people, arguments with other people, especially as we start to speak our truth, speak some of the things that are important to us. This can bring arguments, especially for talking to people and saying, hey, you know what? I don't want to do things this way. I don't like when you do this. I don't want you to do that. I don't want this with you. It can bring a lot of anger and can bring a lot of frustration. Okay, a lot of anger and frustration too as we think about money. I got to lose more money in order to make money. Still, I've been losing money for so long. When things are going to come back? You know, there could be a lot of that goes on that could be hard as we try to disassociate emotionally from the baggage and come up with a path forward in many different ways of our life that are going to eventually get us a better result. Okay, if this doesn't bring frustration within ourselves, us being hard on ourselves and really frustrated about what's going on, and if this doesn't bring arguments with other people, why are you doing this? I don't want this. This isn't working. Then this can go another way, and I will give you the positive interpretation so that you can see both. Okay. Although I do want to let you know that I typically do see this alignment as going more negative first before it goes positive, although it can go a positive way. That can occur. If this doesn't go negative, then Mercury square Mars can not bring anger. It can bring real passion. Mars has a lot to do with drive, passion, ambition. So if there's some of us that aren't angry at this woman, great, I got to make more changes. I got to do this and I got to do that. And I got to lose money and all these people in my way. Then this can bring Mars square Mercury a real passion and a real drive to say, you know what, I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. I got to stop making these changes. I got to stop with this karma. I got to figure this out. How can I do it? And can give us an eye on the future in order to figure out some kind of solution in order to help us move forward. So again, it doesn't have to be bad. It can be good too, but I typically see in this alignment the bad first before the good. That can occur. Another thing that I want to say about this alignment as well is that Mars is in what? Aquarius. What is Aquarius the sign of? It's a sign of a lot of things, but it's also the sign of the unexpected. So what this can bring, two interpretations of this, is unexpected bad news, unexpected bad conversations, unexpected bad thoughts, anxious thoughts. It can also bring unexpected arguments out of nowhere. People could surprise you with things. I don't want this. I don't want that. You could surprise yourself with things. You could surprise other people. It could be very, very hard. I don't want this. This isn't right. I got to get out of this. This isn't what I want my new life to be about. I don't want this. I don't want to make money in this way. You did that. That could be very, very hard. But as quickly as Mars square Mercury in Aquarius can bring the unexpected bad stuff, just as quickly as that, it can bring the unexpected good stuff as well. So just as quickly as you can have these fights and these arguments with yourself and other people, something good can also come with Mars square Mercury from all this stuff to give you an unexpected insight or solution about how to find the way forward and to not get discouraged if you're getting the negative part first. Okay. So that's what I want to say there. Maybe I'll stop and recap that before I add the next layer on top of what I've just been talking about. What this to me is about so far, this full moon in Scorpio, is about us ending a time of change in our life so that we can step into situations that we really truly want and desire now that we're in a drastically different space in life that are going to make us feel better, more stable and secure, more happy and more lighthearted. In order for us to do that, however, to be more happy, more lighthearted, and to step into a life we really want, we may need to make even more changes or deal with even more hard, karmic, emotional stuff with relationships, with money, and with our own selves. This hard, karmic, emotional stuff could bring up lots of frustrating thoughts to ourselves and lots of frustrating conversations with other people and about money that could be very, very difficult. That could maybe even come on hot and heavy very unexpectedly. But just as quickly as we can have these very hot and heavy, unexpected conversations about relationships and money and karma and all these things we don't like, just as quickly as that can happen, we can get some good insights and solutions from all of this frustration about how to move forward into the future in a better way as a result. We can also get some of these good solutions as well about how to move forward, making the changes that we need. Also, we can also get some of the good stuff if we allow ourselves to kick on the intellect and to logically make sense of the karma and to disassociate from it instead of letting our emotions run us over, right? So that's what I see going on there. The last thing, right? Yes, the last thing that I want to factor into this picture is going to be, astrologically at least, is going to be Venus making a very important alignment while all this is going on. Venus is in Gemini, about to station, well, it is stationing, about to go retrograde at the same degree very soon, making a square over here to Neptune in Pisces. And this is a very interesting alignment to factor in because it almost, I don't want to say it negates everything that I just said, but it adds an interesting twist, perhaps on some of the things that I just mentioned. Why does it do that? Well, because Venus square Neptune to me can bring confusion and a lot of emotions about relationships and money, which I definitely feel is going on anyways at this full moon in Scorpio. To me, this full moon in Scorpio is very emotional, and we're having to figure out how to not be emotional and how to find solutions to bring everything back to reasonable levels in the way that we need. Okay, so that's not the hard part. Well, that is the hard part, but that's not the surprising part. The surprising part about this alignment is the fact that Venus is going to go retrograde in this square to Neptune. So even if at this full moon in Scorpio, even if at this full moon we get solutions about how to change things in our lives and deal with heavy emotional karmic stuff in ways that we need to move forward in better ways, even if we get solutions, Venus retrograde in a square with Neptune makes me think that there is still more to the story. That either the solutions that we get are not the final solutions, or the solutions that we get still have more missing pieces and more missing parts that need to be filled in so that we can feel better, or that the solutions that we get have lots of questions about how to put the solutions into place that may need more time. Need more time for what? For Venus to go retrograde and then direct, which is still a month or two out. May need more time for the eclipse season to now happen, which we're going into. The next full moon will be an eclipse. And we'll also need more time for what? Mercury to also go retrograde in Cancer at the same time that a lot of this stuff is going on. So as much as I want to tell you this full moon in Scorpio is going to help you figure out what you need to change so that you can finally create a life that you want in a very different space and enjoy it, as much as I want to tell you that, there's a part of me that really does feel as though this stuff that comes up at this full moon in Scorpio is not the end all be all. The stuff that comes up at this full moon in Scorpio is not the complete ending of a time of change in karma, but it's the start to the end. It's the start to the end. The beginning of the end. It's the beginning of the end of the time of karma and change. And the stuff that comes up at this full moon in Scorpio is going to be what kicks off us figuring out some karmic stuff so that we can, over the course of the next 3 or 4 months, bring things back to the place that we need it to be. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing for some of you all. Some of you all could be feeling really frustrated about that. Man, I have to make more changes in order to feel good, and these changes are still going to be a thing that I'm going to have to deal with for another 4 months, 3-4 months. That could be very, very upsetting for some of you all, but perhaps for some of you it could feel good. Good, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to be settled yet. I still have more things that I need to work together, but I thought I would mention that and prepare you for it. That the things that are going on at this full moon in Scorpio, even if they are helpful for us to figure out what still needs to be changed and adjusted for us to feel solid, are not the end all be all, that there are still more things that need to come to light and more things that need to happen before we're in a better place. That does not mean to be discouraged. Maybe that's a message for some of us. That does not mean to be discouraged. Well, if there's still more to work out, then I'm just not going to do anything. That does not mean to be discouraged, okay? Even if we can't do everything at this full moon in Scorpio to be in the better place that we need to be, we can do some things. And the some things that we do to be in a better place are going to kickstart the rest of the stuff, is going to get the ball rolling for the rest of the stuff over the course of the next 3 or 4 months that needs to be figured out, and that will eventually be more fully figured out in order to get us going. Yes. Yeah. So I think that's all I'll say in regards to the astrology. Anything that I want to add or repeat? Maybe I'll just repeat the Venus-Neptune stuff one more time. This full moon in Scorpio, because I'm always so worried that y'all are going to walk away from my videos more confused than when you started them, or that there's not going to be a clear point of view. And I really want there to be a clear point of view about what I'm trying to say, so that you can understand at least what I feel about how this may play out. Just to be clear, I feel this full moon in Scorpio is going to alert us to more changes and emotional karma and more things that need to be worked out before we can start to be more at ease in our lives and before we can start to be more settled. The stuff that we realize we now need to change or need to work out will not be resolved all at once at this full moon in Scorpio, but will take a few more months to be resolved. And will take a few more months in order for us to see the final resolution about. But just because the things at this full moon in Scorpio will not be resolved overnight and will take more time does not mean to not do the things that we need in order to fix and change our lives to get it better, because the things that we do or start now at this full moon in Scorpio will help us over the course of the next few months bring the last few things in our life together that are not together, so that we can move on into some other journey. Now, your inside degree, I want to read about this full moon in Scorpio, just to add a little bit more information. I'm going to read the inside degree on my computer. I know you can't see it, but I have another large screen over here that I'm going to read it on. I did not write it. You can find it online by Elias Lonsdale. I'm going to read 17 Scorpio, which is the degree that the full moon is at, to give you more information about what this full moon may be like. 17 Scorpio, it says this: a stronghold for secrets, hidden purposes, and inward streams to thrive and prevail. So this gives me another thought about this full moon in Scorpio, which if I didn't already make clear, I'll point out now. What this indicates to me is that there could be, at this full moon in Scorpio, either things going on in secret or things that we are hiding from other people that may now need to be exposed or need to start to be exposed. Need to be exposed because why? Well, because Scorpio is a sign of the subconscious and things that are hidden. It is also making a trine to Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, which also has to do with secret things. And because now the North Node is what? In Gemini. And what does Gemini like to do? Expose the facts about what is really going on. So I'm getting a really strong sense here that this full moon is going to expose some of our deepest truths and maybe even some of our secrets that have persisted. What this could mean, just to give you a few examples, what this could mean, it doesn't have to mean this, so I don't want to scare some of you all, but what this could mean is that there's something that's been going on in secret behind your back that someone has been doing to you that has not been good, that all of a sudden could come to light and that you could all of a sudden start to see, okay? To figure out, to know what's really going on. If this isn't about that, someone doing something not so good behind your back that you start to learn about, then this could be maybe there's something you have not been saying. Maybe there's something about yourself that you've been keeping hidden, that you've been keeping private, that you haven't been talking about, that's super important to you. This full moon in Scorpio, while Venus is about to go retrograde, could be the time that we say, you know what, I can't be secret anymore. I can't be private anymore about these deeply personal things. I have to let you know. Okay, big focus, 17 degrees Scorpio at this full moon. Secrets and hidden things start to come to light to be talked about at this time that will take us the next few months in order to fully express and get out there. Another thing, the 17 Scorpio says, you live several lives in one, harboring the brightest, the darkest, the strangest, and the most wondrous worlds. This to me is another thought that there's still part of us that feels conflicted inside about our inner world and our external world. And I think the things that are going on at this full moon in Scorpio and the things that we're changing or the things that we are discussing, getting off our chest, are going to help us live a life more in accordance with our soul and to stop living all these multiple lives to get a handle on it so that we can focus on a path that's more true to us. Another thing from this inside degree, it says absolutely uninvolved with surface affairs, no outer life whatsoever, but inwardly deep, intense, and overwhelmingly driven, following through on ancient vows, a grim, heavy, somber tone. So another thing that this reminds me about this full moon in Scorpio, if I didn't make this clear already, is that it can be very, very heavy, very, very grim, heavy, and somber emotionally. This is Scorpio that we're talking about. Scorpio has to do with the deepest depths of our soul. It's like the deepest sign there is. Scorpio does not do anything superficial, okay? This can be a very extremely deep full moon in Scorpio, even though we've got the North Node in Gemini, which can be very superficial, okay? I don't mean that to knock any Geminis. I've got a lot of planets in Gemini, but we are getting the contrast at this full moon of depth versus, I don't want to say heaviness versus lightness. Depth versus ease. That's coming, or ease isn't the quite opposite of depth, but depth versus shallowness. There is this play of opposites that is here at this full moon in Scorpio. Okay, could be feeling very, very heavy at this time. But I do want to point out that even though we could be feeling very heavy at this full moon in Scorpio, I want to point out the North Node in Gemini, and I want to point out the absolutely uninvolved with surface affairs that this inside degree says. That is key. Uninvolved is a word that I really like in this inside degree, because even though this full moon can make us very emotional about a lot of things that are very personal and private, about a lot of secret things that we now feel like need to come to light or that we need to discuss, even though all of that can be going on with the North Node in Gemini and with this word absolutely uninvolved with surface affairs, there is a part of us that needs to cultivate this feeling of disinterest and this feeling of detachment. Because the North Node in Gemini is not an emotional sign. Gemini is air, intellect, not dealing with the feelings. So there is a part of us still, this to me is another reminder that at this full moon, we need to separate a little bit from the emotions and to not get taken in by them so that we can more so organize and separate from the heaviness. Okay. Another thing this inside degree says, the capacity for root transformation and extraordinary realization. So these heavy things that are going on and these secrets that are being exposed that we're trying to intellectualize and to make sense of more logically and in different ways is going to help us transform and realize things that we did not know before that are now going to help us move forward. All right. And the final thing I want to mention about this inside degrees is that it also says, accustomed to the shadows and to meditation, prayer, and extraordinary discipline, your central focus is to be with God and the silence steadfastly. This is the last point I want to make and the last reminder that in order for us to get through this time now and in the next few months of us wrapping up some karmic chapters really from the past and getting ourselves on better footing, in order for us to do that and to navigate through this, sure, conversations are necessary, talking and thinking things through, intellectualizing things is going to be necessary, but also a strong spiritual practice can also be necessary as well. So meditating, praying, talking to God or the universe can help. Also, I should note too, sleeping can also help, spending time alone, and maybe even some art and nature as well. The reason why I think that is not just because of this inside degree, but also because Venus is in a square with Neptune at this time, and Neptune is the planet of spirituality and is the planet as well of meditation and of going inward. So perhaps in order for us to navigate some of this stuff, we may need to take time alone to ourselves. Another thing I should say about Neptune too is that Neptune is also the planet of patience. So another thing that we may have to cultivate at this time is patience and extreme discipline, extraordinary discipline, in order to get through all this stuff as it comes together. that may occur. Another thing too, Neptune to me having to do with God or a higher power. We may also have to trust God's timing as things work themselves out. All right, and that is that's I think the last thing I'll mention. Now your card for the full moon. Let me give it one more shuffle. This one. Your card for the full moon is the 8. It's the 8 of Cups reversed. This to me, this card has a lot to do I want to say, with doubting ourselves, doubting our situation, doubting what's going on. Typically when I see this card, I get this like a little bit of uncertainty some way about situations in our lives. Do I stay or do I go? This, like to give you an example, there can be some uncertainty at this full moon. Do I change the way I make money or do I not? Do I let myself lose a little bit more money in this venture that is or is not working? Or do I change the money making venture altogether so that I can start to make money? Do I leave this relationship that I don't like and get mad at this person? Or do I stay in it and see if it can work itself out and what's going on? You know, there can be like a lot of that's going on here. And this card to me does indicate maybe like, do I want to say waiting a little bit as you gather more information? North Node in Gemini, waiting a little bit as you gather more information, especially too as so many planets are about to go retrograde and that eclipse season is about to come, because more information is going to come to light in the next few months. So this to me is a card that says maybe waiting, be patient as you gather more information about what's really going to occur. And this card to me also indicates as well, trusting your intuition also, and trusting God as you do figure some stuff out. Yes. Another, oh yeah, let me look at here at the bottom of the deck first. The King of Cups reversed. The King of Cups to me is also our emotions, and these are both Cups cards. So I do get a feeling, although I think I've made this clear in the video so far, that our feelings are a little bit out of sorts, that we're not feeling in control of our emotions as well. That could be a little bit hard. I get the sense with both of these cards, especially the King of Cups, that we want to know. I get the feeling, I want to know. Do I need to do this? Do I need to not do this? That could then be making us angry and frustrated. Also, I should mention that sometimes when the King of Cups is reversed, not only could we be all over the place emotionally and very frustrated, but sometimes the King's reverse can be overly controlling. So perhaps because some of us are not feeling that good emotionally, we could be trying to control situations in order to feel better. And I'm really getting a strong message with this card and seeing the eclipses and the retrogrades yet to come. This is not in North Node in Gemini. This time is not about us controlling situations to force them into our little thoughts of, or bubbles or perspectives of what they should be, but this is about going with the flow and allowing more information to come to light and having more of the conversations that you need so that you can figure out what needs to be done and how, and so that you can make the right moves at the right time, or at the time that it is right for you and right for your situation. That will help, and to not, I get that, not force things. So maybe feeling frustrated, don't force things, wait for the right time, gather the information. Things are gonna become more clear over the course of the next few months, what needs to happen and how. That is your forecast for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, fill out my survey, visit my website, and I will talk to you later.